Over the past 61 hours on my stream, I have died, and died again whilst trying to kill Uber Lilith, even getting her to 1%. But in this video, I'm going to showcase today's kill, the build that I used to do it, which is Tornado Druid, some tips if you want to try this fight on Tornado Druid, and then I'm also going to talk about some issues with the fight that you should look out for if you're going to try it yourself. Paul. I just need one of them for my brain to not turn off. You don't like it? I like the fight. It's just bugged. There's too many bugs for me to say it's like an insane fight, but I think it's a good fight. I really like this kind of stuff in these games. That's what this feels like. I love like solo raid bosses. It's kind of what it feels like. Yeah, I didn't play when it was there, you know, I know this. Bro, I mean, I say morons, but you know, I was the raid leader, so it was, if they were morons, it was my fault for putting them in the raid. But no, it is fun just to be able to just go, because you couldn't really do that with raiding either, right? It's like three hours, and then everyone's going, everyone's walking their dog every other pole. This, I can just blast and see actual improvement, pole to pole. That's the most fun bit. Like, look at me now, Dad, compared to the other day. Boom, boom, boom. Not a little extra puddle, but I think it's okay. Get out of here, bitch. Don't be weird. Yeah, okay. Right on my head, go on. I'll take it. Big lap. Big lap. Holy moly. Run around, baby. Jump, run. Keep running. Slam, dodge. One more cone. Keep dodging. Destroy that. Pop. Pop! Yes! Let's f***ing go, dude. Yes! So here we are in game. You can see I was quite excited, and here we are on the mount, the spoils of war, the bloody steed we have right here. Look at him strutting around. God damn. Okay, but at the start of this video, we're going to start talking about the build. Who's that yelling in the background? Yeah, that character. But we are going to start by talking about the build, and the first thing I should get out of the way is this build was designed exclusively for Uber Lilith. It is a version of Tornado that I would not recommend for any other situation. It is simply if you would like to try Uber Lilith. The second thing is, after trying the fight for the amount of time that I did, over 2,000 pulls, I learned that damage reduction and being tanky is kind of worthless, because even at the extreme levels of defense, you still can't tank what you would realistically need to tank for it to be worth it. In almost all cases, you pretty much have to dodge everything regardless. So I cut the damage reduction to the bare minimum, just enough to survive, and the rest is put into DPS. Bear that in mind when we look at the gear. Here we go. We'll go straight into the macro planner. This will be linked in the description. It has the equipment, skill tree, paragon, and it will be linked below. So let's start off with the important gear. We first have, of course, Tempest Roar. The build does not function without this skill. You need Tornado to be a storm skill. I'm not going to talk about the basics of the build. If you're watching this, I'm assuming you understand how Tornado works if you're at level 100 and thinking about trying Lilith. The first kind of difference you will see from the conventional Tornado setups is the Mad Wolf's Glee. This means that all our werewolf skills gain +2 ranks, and when this is upgraded 5 times, it actually gives +3 ranks, which is a lot of damage. And as mentioned, we don't care about the defense as much, even though it does have a defensive role on it, but the move speed is also vital in the second phase of the fight when you have to outrun the fireballs. The gloves, obviously you want a lot of offense on your gloves, +4 to Tornado. Standard attack speed, crit, lucky hit chance is fantastic for this build, as we're trying to proc that Grizzly cooldown, as well as Earthen Might. Then we have our legs, which is the main source of damage reduction that we get. And then willpower is a nice DPS increase on any gear you can get it on. And this aspect is beyond the best defensive aspect in the game. You get 50% additional armor, and it's so easy to stack up on this build that it makes you much more tanky. I tried the fight without this aspect, and it was... I got one shot in phase 1 to her basically attacking me, so need this aspect. Next, we have the boots, which has total armor while in werewolf, dodge chance, willpower, movement speed. Not much you can get on boots, so the dodge chance is nice. It's kind of like 8.6% chance to not get wrecked by a fireball. Maybe that'll help. Who knows? The legendary aspect is while Hurricane is active, we gain +2 ranks to the shapeshifting skills. Again, for Tornado, because of our helmet, counts as a shapeshifting skill, so more damage. The weapon, I used a mace, but you should ideally use an axe. It's going to be much better. Willpower, core skill damage, critical strike damage, vulnerable damage, very standard on a weapon. You could swap out this critical strike damage for all stats if you get a very high roll of all stats. Be pretty good as well, because you get so much critical strike damage already from Grizzly Rage that it's a bit less valuable to you. The aspect on this is the aspect, the one that gives you additional critical strike damage every time you crit during Grizzly Rage, as well as increasing its duration. It's very important, as most of your DPS windows are going to be within that Grizzly Rage when you have the Earthen Might procced, so very important. The amulet, very difficult amulet to get. If you don't get the Envenom passive, it is what it is. But cooldown, Envenom, movement speed, damage while fortified, pretty standard amulet. I actually had to do an amulet swap because my amulet with Envenom didn't have move speed. That's why you see in the clip, I swapped my amulets so that I have the move speed to outrun the fireballs. It's very, very important. Then for the rings, they're pretty much identical except for the aspects, lucky hit chance, crit strike chance, vulnerable damage, and critical strike damage. Just a very offensive ring setup with Earthen Might and critical strike with core skills, increase your attack speed by 25%. Again, DPS, DPS, DPS. And then the totem, we have cooldown reduction. We get a massive, almost 25% cooldown reduction from our totem, which is absolutely huge. Obviously, we want that Grizzly cooldown as low as possible. Crit strike chance, lucky hit chance, willpower, damage, damage, damage. And of course, one of the strongest aspects for this build in the game, the amount you hit, the amount of fortify you generate. This is almost always, assuming you're not getting battered, going to be a 40% more multiplier to your damage, which is fantastic. Then the boons, we went with the Gift of the Stag. You could go with Wariness. If you're dying to her auto attacks, maybe try out, see if it helps. I've been told that she counts as an elite and a boss. Don't know if it's true, couldn't figure it out. But I've been told so. So I was under the assumption she was an elite. I just didn't need this to survive. Swooping attacks, attack speed is incredible on this build. Because your Tornado is basically free within the Grizzly Rage window, you can just spam it over and over again. Then Calamity and Masochistic and Calm Before the Storm. Very, very standard stuff that you'll see on most Tornado builds. Not much different here. And then for the potion, we used an Assault Elixir that adds 20% additional attack speed. That's the gear now coming on into these skills. Again, a few minor changes from the conventional Tornado Druid setups. We are using Wind Shear instead of Storm Strike. This is because the move speed is very effective during the second phase of the fight. As I mentioned, you need to run away from those fireballs. Also, having a ranged builder means you can kite more instead of having to be on top of the boss using Storm Strike. Then we'll come in here, Tornado, of course. Raging Tornado for that constant vulnerable. Abundance, just so you can build your spirit more often. you need as much spirit as possible, so you're doing maximum amount of damage to kill the boils. Wild impulses, just a 15% more damage multiplier, 6% additional crit chance, brilliant, and some move speed while in werewolf form. Again, move speed is so vitally important. And then a big thing that I did during the fight is I spec'd into Earthen Bulwark in phase 2, and this is so that the pull that she does when she spins around would not pull me in. Earthen Bulwark is simply there to give me unstoppable. That's why you see me swap into that during the fight. For the rest of the fight, we were using Cyclone Armor for its damage reduction, and then of course this other effect that every 10 seconds you gain additional damage reduction. Very nice. And then more damage reduction from Vigilance. Nature's Reach just means you clean up the ads a bit better. You're going to kill those boils that are a bit further away. Maybe in the phase 2 of the fight, Nature's Reach is just for cleaning up ads and the boils. Maybe you're on the other side of the arena and you'll do more damage to them. Brilliant. Hurricane, of course, and then we want to extend its duration because of our boot aspect, so that we're gaining that damage boost more frequently, because it lasts 15% longer. And down here we have Defiance for 12% increased damage to elites. Again, I'm operating under the assumption that she is an elite. 1 point in Natural Disaster, and then Resonance for 6% additional damage, and then finally Grizzly Rage with the final 2 points, and of course Earthen Might. I had Nature's Fury, so ignore that. I clicked the wrong thing. And then this is where we cut as much defense as I possibly could. All we have here is more multipliers. That's all I wanted to find with glyphs. So we start off with Exploit in the starting tree. This gives us more vulnerable damage, as well as allows us to apply vulnerable more often. Earth and Sky adds additional bonuses to the magic nodes, as well as giving us 10% more damage. Outmatch, again, gives us 16% additional damage. Tornado does deal physical damage. Even though it is a storm skill, it deals physical damage, so this is just 16% additional damage. Spirit just means that mobs take more damage from us, which is a very nice multiplier. We have Fang and Claw over here in Ancestral Guidance. This gives us 12% more damage. And then finally, we ended up in Tracker. You could arguably go for the Fortify one. I just couldn't really figure out how to fit it in, so I went with Tracker. Just gives you 67% increased damage, which is, you know, a nice increase. It is obviously in the same bucket as a lot of your other damage, but it's better than nothing. It's just more damage. As I said, you want as much damage as you can get and the bare minimum of tankiness. So if you want this builder, it is in the description. Now we're going to go over the fight and talk about some things that you need to look out for if you're going to do it yourself. Alright guys, so we're going to go through the kill of the fight. I'm going to talk about some things that you will want to look out for if you're doing the fight. This isn't going to be like a comprehensive Lilith guide. This is going to be exclusive to Tornado Druids. There's plenty of Lilith guides out there if you want to go see those. This is going to be more for how I would recommend you do it if you're playing Tornado Druid. So let's get started. Restrain, of course, pop your cooldowns, pretty straightforward. Here you're just kind of praying for a proc, but honestly, if you have enough damage, it doesn't really matter. There are some little optimizations, like waiting to use your Cyclone Armor and your Hurricane for this boil to spawn. Just gives you more chance of getting an Earthen Might proc. It's a very small adjustment, but it's something you can do if you need to do more damage. Then this particular wave, this is very important. One, do not get her to this threshold of life. If you phase her to here, you can bug the fight out during this part of the fight. And you don't want to do that because you'll have to just restart and go again. But here, go down to the south. And what she's going to do is she's going to jump up. You're going to count to 2 and then jump in this direction towards the opposite side of the arena. Now, this wave is actually confirmed bug. The timing is not correct. And also the waves can go in all kinds of directions. Typically, the waves would, of course, all come like this. But if you're doing it on this particular wave, they can do basically whatever they want, and you're going to die to that. So count to 2 and then jump across and adjust if need be. See me do it here. So 1, 2, jump, and then you can adjust. You can see I move over to the right because it's safe. I'm not going to get hit by this. Next, this is about use your Grizzly as late as possible here. You basically want to kill the mobs as she drops, because then she'll start to cast the crisscross move is what I call it. We'll see it here. So it's, I killed this mob probably a little bit earlier, but she's going to drop down, get straight on over to her, and she's going to cast, what I call crisscross. There you go. So this is crisscross, and this is a big damage opportunity. So ignore the boils. Your tornadoes will deal with those. What you want to do is focus on hitting Lilith, because you need to get her to that threshold. It's like, I don't know, would it be 25 to 50, so 37.5% HP. Let's call it a third. But you basically want to get to that threshold within this window in order to push her as soon as possible. If you don't get a proc, it's not going to happen. I get a bit lucky here, and it does. Our 3 adds. Now, this wave is also bugged in the exact same way. It is much faster than it's supposed to be, and you have much less time to react. So, again, it's about that mental count. As soon as she goes up into the air, count to 2, and I choose to stand in this corner over here and jump across in this direction. This gives you the opportunity to adapt, because what you want to do is get behind any incoming wave and kind of run with it. You'll see what happens here. There are some different scenarios that you can run into, but this is the basic one that happens most of the time. So count to 2 and then jump across. As you see, I want to get behind that wave and follow it through. This is a very typical situation. These aren't meant to be like this, so close together. This is what's bugged, right? They're meant to be spaced out. But here, our goal is to first get to here, and then to follow this wave in. We'll dodge both of the others, whilst, you know, doing as much damage as we possibly can to try and push the mobs as soon as possible. Now, the goal here is, again, you want to kill these adds as she drops down to get the maximum benefit of your Grizzly. So I just procced my Grizzly. Now my goal is kill these adds before she spawns the waves, so that when she drops, I'm good to go. So we'll see if that happens. We start firing away. Don't think we get another Might proc, but our Tornado's obviously in the back killing them. And then we go, boom, she's down. We proc her, then Might. We get a decent amount of damage off, and we kill the boils immediately. Jump away, and you'll see we still have some time left on our Grizzly, meaning that we can finish her off within this window pretty easily. This happens very often. And you'll see this phase 1 looked almost easy, right? We just immediately destroy her with this Grizzly, and we go into phase 2 with the most important things, which is 1, our Grizzly is going to be back up. 2, we have full spirit. Those are the most important things going into P2. That's what's going to set you up for success. Swap to our Bulwark, and we're good to go. Have a little dance, have a little stretch, and you're ready to go into P2. Now, positioning for P2 is very important. Where you stand determines where the pools spawn. I typically stand on the left side of this line. You can see right here. Always in this little corner here, because I just found it made the pools in a much more favorable location for me. And then at the start of the fight, you're just praying for a proc. If you get one, awesome. That means you're not going to spawn that extra pool on the other side of the arena, and she's going to go straight up into the air and fly to the north. At this point, stand, hang on, I'm in my inventory. Stand right here. This is the exact spot you want to stand on in this area. Fire at the boss and get ready to move. So as soon as you see this first one spawning, you see this boil here. As soon as you see this spawning a fireball, get ready to jump. What you're going to do is run forward through these two. This is going to happen the exact same way every time. You're going to get good, well practiced at this. Run through those, jump across the middle, and then you're going to take the long way around this corridor right here. So it's jump, across, and then round, and you're going to come out just in time to beat the fireballs. And you want to do this the exact same way every time to get that muscle memory. You see, I did exactly that, and we came out just in time. I actually get stuck on the wall there. Be really careful not to do that. Then as soon as you see her come into the middle, activate your Earthen Bulwark. This means that when she spins, she's not going to pull you in and kill you. And the next job is to stand on top of this pool right here. You want to stand on this. I found that if I stand on this side of it, it's more likely for the circle to spawn on me. It's probably confirmation bias, but I found that standing on the left-hand side of it made it more likely to get eaten by whatever pool she spawns. So we can see here, she's going to spawn a pool on me. Perfect positioning. It's going to pull this pool across, which is really nice. And we've got a Grizzly going, and we're just praying for another proc here. That's all you're praying for, a proc, and just pump, 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 pump. She goes up. Now wait in the middle, see which way she goes, because you're going to want to destroy any pool she spawns. You can see immediately I run over to this pool right here. Now, one problem, one very important thing. If you stand too close to her, she will not spawn the circle on you until after she has auto-attacked you, which doesn't give you enough time to stand on the pool and get to safety. So you need to stand away from her. So let's say this pool is here. You cannot stand right next to her. You would have to bait it here and then jump across. Do not stand right next to her. She's going to auto-attack you, and it's going to ruin your fight. Let's keep going. See, I tried to bait it. I bait it unsuccessfully, so we've spawned an extra pool. In my experience, this is really bad. Having any extra pool is really bad for you, but as you see with this fight, we do manage to get away with it. There, we phased her. The way that you know that we've phased it is the break point, 50%. We can see that she goes below 50% and immediately jumps into the air. The next target is this corner right here. We want to stand right here, fire as many tornadoes as we can, and then start to cast Wind Shear to get the move speed. You'll see that's exactly what I do in this situation. Just spend all your spirit and then Wind Shear to get some move speed. So we're stood over here. And again, as soon as you see this first fireball spawn, it's jump time. Get in the safe bit, run around, don't go too fast. If you go too fast, you will run into this fire right here, and this fire has a terrible hitbox. This is not the zone. It is more like this. So make sure you take the long way around every time. Don't go too fast or you're going to die. Then it's, again, just take long laps around, dodge all the fireballs. As soon as she goes to the middle, earthen bulwark so you don't get pulled in, get into the safe zone. And then here, this is very important. You need to bait this puddle. If this puddle goes anywhere in this part of the arena and doesn't consume one of these, it's lights out. It's game over. It's go again. Stand in between them if you have two. If not, stand on one. All right. Best case scenario is you have one puddle here. So what you're going to do if you have one, in this instance, I had two. I had them here. Best case scenario, you're going to have one puddle here. What you want to do is bait on this side. Because if she spawns a pool over here, it's perfectly fine because she will delete this part of the arena and delete that pool. So always stand on the side of the arena that she's likely to delete. So that means later in the fight, you have less pools to worry about. In this situation, obviously, I added the extra pool. So for the chance to not have 3 pools, I instead just, guaranteed that I deleted at least one of them. But in most perfect scenarios, you want to be standing, roughly here. So if she spawns it in any of these locations, most of these are going to be cut off. And if you get these ones, then so be it. You've got an extra one, but it is what it is. Give yourself the most chance to succeed. And then again, it's back to Grizzly. We have very good damage windows in P2. Very often she's just messing about, not really doing much. This bit, very important, very important. In P2, you are always going to have your puddles in this location. Every time she flies up into the air, it's a lap from 9 o'clock, right here. This is 9, 6, 3, 12. It's always 9 to 6 to 3 to 12. Okay? Always. Always, always, always. Go that way. If she ends up coming to this side, well, it's fine because you started here and she'll not be doing the delete mechanic, so it doesn't matter you're not stood in here. You'll be safe in this zone here and you'll be good to go. So always start at 9, do a full lap. You'll see it later on in the fight where I do it for the actual mechanic. So here, this is just her small mechanic. She summons a pool. This was a bad bait by me. I should have stood closer to this pool maybe, but I might have been killed by the fire, so who knows. Spin, of course, this is just free damage while she's spinning around. She can do whatever she wants. We're just getting damage off. And up she goes. You can see again, what I do. 9, all the way around to 12. Big lap. Now, I cut this one really close. Maybe I took this one too light. So you can see the fire has spawned. I need to get in this zone right now. And as I said, these hitboxes are not good. You need to be in there quick. So you'll see I immediately recognize this. You got to jump twice. This is what you got to do. Boom, boom. You got to get in there. So big lap around. Maybe don't take it as wide as I did. But get in here and don't speed up. Don't speed through this zone. Because what you're going to do is you're going to run into this fire as it's still dissipating. You're going to die. I've done that plenty of times. So you're going to run out. Boom. All the way around. And just keep lapping. So this is the part where you don't want to rush, right? Let her do her thing. She's going to scream. She's going to start doing all kinds of shit. Just run around. You're fine. Just keep running around. Keep dodging. It's going to be okay. Of course, after every mechanic, she's going to summon the puddle. So we go and bait here. You can see how we stand right between these two. That means she's likely to delete one. She deletes that. And then it's just time to pump. Go, 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 go. She's going to do a spin. We got lucky on the queuing. And that's it. That's lights out. That's what you're looking for. And that's the fight. This is how it's going to look in most kills because this build is very RNG based. The fight has RNG built in. So you're probably going to get to this point multiple times. Maybe you've got an extra pull that you're going to die to. You just need to try and get that clean pull. So it might take you a lot of attempts. This is what I did. I got to 10% hundreds of times. It's just that one clean pull that you're looking for when the sequencing isn't screwed. and you're good to go. You're not going to kill it every pull. I don't think any player on this build could kill her on any given pull. It's just there's too much RNG involved in both the build and the boss itself. But I hope this helped. I even downloaded this cool pen tool to try and, you know, annotate my thoughts. I hope this was helpful. Let me know in the comments if this was actually helpful to anyone.